Hello, hello. Can y'all hear me? Push this guy over a bit more. Sorry about the delay, folks. Animation. Let me of a little sloth guy. Sorry, right here. Oh, I see Tamron in the chat. I do have the chat open, so I'll try and keep an eye on that and answer any questions as we go. Alright. Oh, I see my brother in chat. Thanks. Alright, so today we're going to be walking through a little tutorial to do a few light in-betweens and keyframes. I was also going to go through just quickly how to set up a file for this kind of work. I've made the file available on Discord in the Creative Share, so if anyone's interested, I think you should be able to open it on pretty much any version of Flash, because this is a very old version of Flash, but the bonus of that is you can open it on pretty much any newer version of Flash or Animate. Alright, so the first step, when we're getting to let's say we have our image ready and we want to animate it a little bit, I think the first step I like to do is sketch. In that case, this means I like to kind of plan what I want to have happen, what I want to move. So I've done a little quick, you can see in these pink lines here, I've done where I'd like things to move. Maybe I'd like these palm trees, I think it's palm fronds, to move. I actually want the hammock to sway a little bit and our sloth to kind of dip down in the hammock. I think you can animate stuff without a plan, but it's super nice to have just like a little idea of what you want to see happen, because that leads into the next step. I'm just going to leave that sketch on so you can kind of see it. That leads us to the next step, which is organize symbols. Everyone loves organization, right? It's key. So we had this lovely file, but most of it needs to be broken up really quick and wait for animation. I've left a lot of the elements of the sloth in separate groups. Groups aren't super friendly to animate with, but it keeps them all separated in case we want to do anything with them later. For now, I'm just going to put it in one kind of master comp. Sloth comp. That's creating a graphic symbol. So that, see, look, we got this little, all those bits are in one nice little tidy flash symbol, so we can move it around. We could do all sorts of stuff with them. We could make them real short. We can make them real tall. But he's in a symbol. That means that no matter what we do on the outside, he's nice and tucked into this part here. Oop, can I get back out? He's still got all those little parts in case we want to break that up a little bit more later. Some other parts that I got this little claw overlay. I'm just going to quickly make that a symbol. Claw overlay. I have a front of the hammock. Right now I have it in a line and a fill separate. I'm just going to go ahead and title that. So when you're going through your file, I've actually already made this the symbol. You can see I have some stripes here. I use a mask to keep them inside that space. It's pretty important to know what you're going to move around when you're doing symbols. It can save you a lot of time just knowing, hey, I want this thing to move, so that even when you're like going through creating your design, so that you can allow for that thing to be separate. Call that Palm 1. And of course, newer versions of Animate or Flash will have a lot of like newer tools. There's a lot of like more creature comfort settings. But a lot of the stuff you can just kind of like fake in this way. Yeah, and we got our Palm 3. And oh yeah, an important note, if you've been to any of my other Flash panels, I always recommend in Flash, lock what you're not touching. It's just a good idea. So I think for starters, I'm gonna leave these guys unlocked. 1 second. Are you? Looks like 2 objects. Did I not already put you in a thing? 1 sec. Oh, I see. I think I left a separate layer. Boop, boop, boop. I went ahead and built this all last night. I just gotta make sure to put that back in a nice way. Go ahead and put that underneath. There we go. Okay. Oh no, our sloth is poking out just a little bit. I'm gonna nudge him up just slightly. Alright, so we've organized our file. We've put it into symbols. I don't know that we're gonna really have time to move the water or the tree or the sky much, but if we wanted to, we got the clouds in a separate little layer. But for now, we're just gonna work on moving the hammock back and forth. So we got our little sketch there. So what is the next step? Next step. This is like my equivalent to a PowerPoint. Keyframes! So, for our sketch, we've kind of already decided how it's going to move from the original position. So that's kind of going to be the keyframe. Going to see, setting a keyframe here. I'm trying to think what the best way to do this would be, because I could set this animation just inside the symbol. Oh yeah, and that's another good point. If you've been to any of my other panels, or if you're familiar with Flash, you'll know that you have a timeline inside your graphic symbol, so you can set animations to play inside there. So I'm going to have just looking at that, I'm watching that sketch to see like, what did I do? How do I get there? This is a little line. I can just kind of scooch it up. I'll really quickly see if I can motion tween that. Oh, it does not want to motion tween that. No problem. Let's see. A little bit of this is going to be figuring out how to get this to work. I know I can, in theory. I set this up, I tried to build all the parts ahead of time, just so that I could figure it out as easy as possible. I should, disclaimer, I'm not a professional animator. but I like to animate in Flash. It is fun. I like to give little drawings some life. Alright, why can I not... I'm going to break that. This thing really wants to be a group. I'm trying not to let it be a group anymore. Groups are usually kind of frowned on in most animation. It's like, we don't want groups. Groups aren't, you can't animate with them. They're hard to work with sometimes. So let's see if I can't, because I've set this up with line and fill, I'm gonna cut. One sec. I want the line up here. I have a gray line at the bottom. It's just being a little finicky. Come on. I don't want to touch both of them. It is really making it really be this way, making me go in and cut out this line piece by piece. Alright, I'm just gonna cut. Oh, missed a spot. Cut. Paste in place on a new line. See one more time if I can get it to motion tween for me. I'm just gonna move it up a little bit. Oh yeah, that kind of works. Although, let's see, can I make that a little bit? Love it to not move at the corners as much. Okay, try that. Kind of pops a little bit, hey? Oh, I think that's a good point to bring up, I guess. If you set your pivot point, see this little dot? If you set your pivot point on a keyframe and try to motion between two keyframes, you want to make sure your pivot point is actually the same for both of those keyframes, otherwise it does get a little wonky. So we have our two, these are, so by the way, these are our keyframes. I'm setting up a motion tween. Now I know the word tween carries a little bit of, what's the word? People aren't really fond of tweens. It's still popping a little bit. That's okay, because we can actually, the tween is really just a kind of a tool to make your life a little bit easier, but you don't have to use that automatic system. It is really just something that can help you out a bit. So to not use it, I'm going to set some in-betweens. So I'm going to have this one be just a little bit. See, where is my last? Oh yeah, and I will turn on. I also have an onion skin tool so I can see where the previous positions are. I'm just gonna copy this one, because this one I'm gonna have just be a little bit less. See how fast this looks if I put this on 2s but put it like alright. So we have a nice little motion there. I'm going to likewise move the fill. This is like my fill layer right here. I have a line underneath it, kind of just to make it a little bit smoother looking. for this purpose, oh yeah, you know, it is a good idea to name your layers and to save. A lot of newer animate programs will have autosave that you can adjust however you like. In older versions, you don't have an autosave, so it's always important to save. All right. Mitch, yes, or Odovink, yes. The word it's got a stigma. The word. That word's got a bit of a stigma. I was hoping I could do this a little bit more automatic. Maybe it's just because this is an older version. I'm not used to animating this way, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do this the blunt force way of filling in the keyframes. At least for the back piece of the hammock, we're just gonna have it slide down. And I'm just gonna match to each of these. Depending on how much time we have, I know we started a little bit on the late side, but depending on how much time we have, I have a few things set up in the file, so we have potential to do stuff like move the sloth's face, add a little bit of rippling water in the background. I'd like to have the palm fronds move a little bit, just like a little 4-frame, just a tidy little movement. Okay, well that should be the front. So we can see, what does that look like? Oh. That moves just up. So you have that piece. I'm going to move my whole time frame over just to be that 4 frames. That last frame is, if we have time, we could have the sloth turn and look to camera, but we'll see how it goes. We're at, what time is it now? It's at 3. Yeah, half an hour. Yeah, save early, save often. Don't trust autosave. I think I've gotten pretty bad habits from my work where I do use animate, and I will infamously not save until I'm done. But you know, I'll pay for that hubris when I get there. All right, let's work on the back of this hammock. It's already saved. So, oh yeah. And of course, turn on my sketch so I have an idea of what I want to do. Again, you don't have to have a sketch, but it's nice to have a plan. And I'm going to, sorry, it's not 4 frames, it's more like, how many was in here? I like to keep things consistent. Okay, so it's actually going to be 8 frames. I have this just on 2s. This is currently at 20 FPS, but I'll probably up it to 24 because it's kind of the more standard. But we'll see how. The more frames you have, the faster it's gonna look. The less frames you have isn't bad. It's just gonna play slower, which for a chill CozyCon is not the worst. All right, so I'm putting this up to 8. My last keyframe is gonna be here, so I'd like to, you know, move that first. Oh yeah, and click my little, I don't know if you guys can see, my little outline box so I can see through here to the main timeline. See the sketch. Now, I wonder if I could get away with, I could just animate this on the main timeline, probably, but I can't pull this down because I think this is going to start peeking out. I'm going to have to mask it. Oh, that's right. I have my layers locked. I have a mask for the stripes. So I wasn't sure if I'd need to move them around at all, or keep their art more intact and not locked into that shape. So I guess I could just, no, we're definitely gonna have to go like drag it down. Alright. Apologies guys. Animating live is a little bit weird. I'll put that pivot point up there before I move anything. Maybe I'll make the motion a little bit more locked into that position. Oh, I didn't lock it. Okay, that's fine. I guess it's because it's a group of things. What's the easiest way to do this? I guess I actually... This thing isn't necessarily moving down. I might be able to get away with just moving these guys. Oop. It's very easy to accidentally slide your frames all over if you select them. Okay. Yeah, doing it this way might just be the easiest, moving it piece by piece. This is the... Oh, weird. Okay. This is like the... Right, this is like the base. That's my fill layer. Oh yeah, and you can see this is my mask. Why is my mask so much different looking, I wonder? It's kind of nicer. Maybe I can... Oh. Apologies. Go away, Windows. I know. I constantly think I can press Mac keys and get away with it. Alright, well, so far we've got... In my head, I thought this would be so much smoother, but that's okay. That's why we gave ourselves lots of time. How does that look on there? Need a little bit. The stripes are working. The stripe mask is working, but the fill isn't quite. It's nice. I'm just gonna... again, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, PC. I keep trying to press the Windows button and it gets mad. Paste in place. So how does that look when it's locked? Okay. I think that might be fine. We'll see if the corners make it look weird. I guess I'm just cursed. That's fine. It's Sunday. It's a good day to take it easy and just try not to stress over the little technical stuff. Alright, well, we were discussing in-betweens. Yeah, we'll cry endlessly. No, it's okay. We'll be fine. We're just gonna set our little hammock guy. So, we're talking about yeah, must construct additional pilots. So, we set our keyframes. Setting in-betweens is pretty much just deciding where your in-between drawings are gonna look like, pretty much. So, generally, to make like a nice motion, you want to favor the different keyframes. So I have my keyframe 1, keyframe 2. These are my in-between drawings in the middle. Paradoxically, these are called keyframes. I don't have anything set up to like automate this motion, so I'm just gonna like set them myself. But I'm gonna have the first in-between drawing, favor the first keyframe, which is frame 1. Set up my onion skin tool so I can look at both. You can see this this line down here, this like little outliney line, is the next keyframe, so that kind of gives me a good idea of what how far everything's gonna move. So that means I can just kind of go ahead and let's see. I think I did. So I'm gonna keep it not too drastic from what it was. All right, pulling down. Yeah. Stripes a bit down. Pull this mask down with it. Fortunately, I decided to do a mask with this, which, you know, does make my life a little bit harder, but oh well. Because I'm on the in between, I am favoring this keyframe. I'm just going to go ahead and copy it directly here and kind of just nudge everything a little bit closer to that this one. So I guess in the biz you would say I am favoring that keyframe. I'm probably going to have to futz this a little bit later. Who knows if it'll come out wonky, but that's okay, we'll play around with it, get it working. Yeah, it's a little bit, let's see. The motion is sound. I just gotta fix this little bit of the mask. I think it's the mask and the fill kind of creeping through on this frame, so I'm just gonna really quickly. This is just a mask, so just going to make sure it doesn't poke through. And the rest is kind of behind the character. Alright. The rest of it looks like it stays in place. A little bit right there. Get back. Just trimming it. There are definitely smoother, nicer ways to do this, but for now, this will probably be fine. Chasing such cozy. Well, in theory, let's see, it kind of works. Oop, sorry about the flash. Let's see if I think we only have like 10 minutes left, unfortunately. But let's do it really quick. I was just going to quickly mask this. I like to use an obnoxious color when I mask so that I can see what I'm doing. Just going to make a mask for this so that, there. I see some gaps in the fill, but we can honestly fix those later. Because I wanted to really quickly see if we could do something fun with the sloth before we stop. We have our little sloth buddy here. Just run a really, really quick speed run. I'm just really quickly making, just explain what I'm doing. I'm really, really quickly making little symbols. I already named it arm. Oh yeah, you can't have can't have different, they're same named symbols because the program needs to know what y'all doing. I'm gonna leave that as we can always pop out the face later if we feel like. Actually, heck, let's just make the face. See all these little parts? That's its own little beast. Face. And the rest will be body. I'm gonna double check. Oh yeah, and don't worry, I just popped everything. Just messed up the order, that's all. I'm going to see if this works. Does this... It does work! Alright, what I did was I don't know if you could see, I took... Definitely didn't work as smooth as I thought it was going to, but I just took all the parts and I popped them onto their own layers using just like a Control-Shift-D, and that's just like sets it to layers. Although, for some reason, it's being very unkind when I do it like this. So, normally that would work. I'm just gonna face, arm, arm, it's gonna go on the front, and then knee. I think there's a few rogue elements in here that aren't splitting up as nice, but there we go, that should work. So, okay, so now, got our little sloth body. I am going to double checking my settings. I'm going to set the little 8 frames for him, and he's just gonna rock up and down a little bit. If we have time. We got 5 minutes. Speed run. Okay. What was my sketch? See, this is where it's really good to have your sketch handy, because you can say, what was I doing? Where was I going to have him move? Right, I was just going to have him move a little bit down with the thing. So, for his... Maybe even just they. I like they for the sloth. Maybe the sloth doesn't need no gender. For the extreme frame, I was going to have the body move down a little bit, the arm move up a little bit, the knee move up a little bit more. We're kind of doing this, the things closest to the camera are going to move the most. Keep that inside that shape. Oh, makes it look like his face doesn't move at all, which I don't know if I like that. You can see we've made a little bit of a motion, a little rocking motion. So this is where, yeah, it comes in handy to have all these things separated the way we do. So that you can kind of slide items a bit to make it look like they have depth. Even though this is just 2D. This knee is going to have to come a little bit high. Oh, that's the wrong keyframe. Knee is going to have to come a little bit higher, I think. Maybe I'll have it slide a little bit this way. You can see how that looks. So those are our 2 keyframes. I'm going to really quickly... Now, here's the thing. If we were using a nice motion tween, it would kind of calculate the middle points for us without us having to really go through and individually move them. But because we don't have that, oh, there's a dog barking outside. Because we don't have that, I'm just doing it, I'm just eyeballing it. Which, oh, and there's thumping upstairs. Apologies, guys. I don't have the best audio, I'm sure, but nonetheless. Okay. It's crazy here. So I'm gonna favor those keyframes that I had. I like to kind of have the motion be close to those keyframes. Kind of makes a nice... Oh, right, I gotta move the body still. Okay, body. Okay. Okay. So his leg kind of slides a little bit more than I would like, so maybe I'll just adjust that out a bit more. Good enough, I guess. A little bit slidey in some places. I think the arm probably moves a bit more than I would comfortably like. That's pretty chill. Maybe I'll have the face move up just a teeny bit more. I'm trying to keep it inside that line shape. And just to be a little bit extra, I'm going to if I was being good, I would definitely separate these more, but I'm just trying to do this as quick as I can. Just sliding these all up a little bit. No. Yeah. Best practices would usually be to separate all these things a little bit better. I'm just going to see if I can get away with this. I want this to single frame till the last second where I want it to be a little bit higher. How does that look? Oh no. Okay. Always make sure you know how your little symbol is going to play. I want it to just be single frame. And I'm actually going to put kind of an in-between in here as well. Just so it doesn't jump so dramatically at the end of there. So again, in-betweening, you're really just doing slightly between those two frames. Go back out. This one I would like to be at frame 2. This one I would like to be at frame 3. It jumps a little bit. Maybe I'll just leave it at frame 2. Can always fix it later. It gives a little motion to the face. Now how does this look when we move that sketch down? I'm gonna see if I can test it real quick. Oh, it's so fast. So fast and not looper. Alright, another good point. Yeah, no, don't fly it, Chris. I'm gonna be... I bet you it'll crash if I attempt to loop it proper. I'm just gonna quickly copy. Here's another note. To make things loop, I'm really just copying I might just stream a little bit later and try to smooth out the motion a bit more. Okay, this is 12 frames. This is 12 frames. Oh, I locked my layers like a good animator would. I'm just gonna quickly copy these around. I'm sure we're pretty much out of time, but I'm not gonna, because this is going to just repeat, I'm not gonna copy the first keyframe over, because it's gonna repeat to the beginning. I'm gonna do the same with this guy. Now there are ways you can control the timeline inside, or how it plays, how your symbols timeline plays in the main timeline. I don't know if that would be necessarily better. It's kind of one of those things you can play with to find out, but so that's kind of what that looks like. I'm going to increase this mask that I made. Make sure I lock everything else, because I'm going to really quickly touch the mask. See if I can just make it include the sloth, because sloth was dipping outside the hammock a little bit. Put the sloth in there. Oh, and important, we didn't actually move the little claw overlay. Do I have time? What time is it? 5 minutes over. Let's see if we'll be allowed to do this. I'm gonna put that in the hammock overlay. Keep going. Sure thing. Alright, thanks. Thanks to Vanilla Skunk, who was helping me get this stream off the ground. I don't know why it was having so much issue disconnecting. Oh yeah, as per. I'm gonna double check. So here's the extreme. I'm gonna go back in here and try not to have this slide. It might slide a bit. I probably should have moved this all as one, but oh, that's not the extreme. This is right. That's the keyframe. Yeah, putting out fires. And I came in here being like, I have Streamlabs. I haven't used just open source in a really long time, so I wasn't even sure if I could. Alright, I'm just going to do real quick. I'm gonna eyeball it and see how it goes. Oh, that jumps a bit too much. So you can see, you can really tell when you don't need to have 1 frame per second, or like, not second, you don't need to have 24 frames per second for something to look fluid, if that makes sense. Like, the more frames you have, the more like smooth, but it can also make things look weightless and not good. Because when you have, this is going to be like on 2s, so like 12 frames per second per 24, like out of 20, it'll be 12 frames out of 24 frames per second, because your mind does fill in the motion generally. So let's see how that looks. It's fine. I might move up a little bit. A wee bit more. Okay, and then I'll copy that back over, because these are the coming back down frames. It does slide a little bit. Maybe we can fix that later. For now, I can actually set this a little bit slower. It's rocking pretty quick. Yeah, 10 frames is probably going to be... I might increase the space between the keyframes as well. Shall we go all the way down to 7 FPS? Yeah, it looks pretty cute. Looks like a little sprite from a game. Which I like. Alright, how much time do we have left? Oh yeah, let's move the other sketch layer down. There's our little sloth hanging out with his little drink. I feel like his face kind of holds a little bit. 20 minutes? Wow, okay. Yeah, let's do the palm fronds. We'll still hurry though. Still go try and go fast, even though we're trying to be cozy. I feel like his face kind of holds a little bit more than I might like. I already tried doing... I already tried doing frame 3 for that. Let's do frame 3 for that in between as well. Doesn't quite look right. Oh well. Animation's a lot of playing around, what works, what doesn't work, and I just feel like his face should be a little higher there than it is. It says it's on 2. Come on. Where's 2? Maybe just have his face hold a little higher. Anyway, it's very easy to get super bogged down in just like all the little details. Oh yeah, I would love to be on till 4. Let's move these palm fronds. Those I might try and actually do an actual like tween for them, just to show how motion tweens work. Motion tweens have a bad reputation, but if you I'm just gonna put the animation for that in here. If you use it right, it can kind of just be like something to help you. If you rely on it to do all the work for you, it's gonna look robotic and weird. So for this one, for example, let's see, I think our whole animation was, we said what, 12? Yeah, 12 frames. So have it go to, I think it was 8. Oh yeah, and we already had these separated out. Let's go ahead and distribute them to separate layers. So everything's on its own layer. This means I can set up nice tweens in between them. And let's see, I had my sketch. I did give myself a little note where I would like them to all move to. Now, of course, you might be thinking, doesn't it look kind of robotic if everything moves at the same time? Yes. Yes, it does. Oh, no, that's the wrong keyframe. We want to use the second one. It would look very robotic if we moved everything at the same time. So to counter that, we're going to have like a little delay between the motions. Kind of like as though a breeze was going to roll through it. Hopefully we have enough keyframes to pull that off. We're just gonna quickly set our Oh wait, I forgot to double check that I had those. Yes. As I said earlier, if you set your pivot point after in one keyframe and it's not set in the other, it could be a bad time. It might not work as fluidly as you expect. We just want these to move just very slightly. Nothing too drastic. We're having a nice chill vacation. Set my pivot point, enter a new keyframe. Did we run out of music? We did. Restart. I found a playlist called Beach Lo-Fi. I'm just rolling with that. Okay. It might be a little bit much on the motion, but we're just kind of imagining that they're swaying. So I'll try and see if let's see if the motion tween will work. Create motion tween. Okay. So this is, you can see this is, it has no easing or anything. So it's gonna look a little bit like robotic. It's very much A to B. So that's why we say if you're relying on only your motion tween without giving it any sort of easing or favoring the key, like how we were before favoring one keyframe or another. We weren't just having it move like statically A to B. I usually like to, for the in-betweens, if I want it to have like a kind of like a nice rounded motion, the first in-between will favor the first keyframe, the second in-between favor the second one. And I don't know how many of you know what a... I don't really use these in my day-to-day, but like the visualization for it would be like keyframe here. So you had your drawing here, your other drawing here. In terms of the motion, like if this is A and this is B, I like the first one to be up there, and the second in between to be down here, so that it doesn't stick in the middle as much. Gives it a nice timing. So for these guys, I have my motion kind of automated between them. But maybe I want to, oh yeah, apologies, it's gonna look very neon. But I think I'd like to have a little bit more easing set up, so I'm gonna move things a little bit up. Sorry. Just so that they come a little bit, it's almost like they're just settling nicely into that last keyframe. That's kind of, I guess you would say it's called settling. I already did that one, and then did that one. Move it over a little bit. It might not be a huge difference, but the idea is that it doesn't move as just like A to B. Not gonna futz with this too much, but I am gonna set another there we go. And now that I've kind of decided where I want everything to be, I'm just going to remove the tween so that it is like our sloth and our hammock on twos. So it's not just sliding. It's not going to like be smoother than the hammock. It is going to be the same. And let's see. So we want things to go back to their original position, but I also want to stagger these. Copy. See if I can pull this off. I think I know what I'm doing. I've done this with longer timelines in other animations to kind of make... You're just making it so they, let's see. making it so it kind of one then the other moves. That's not quite right. One sec. So I smooth this all down. Okay, so this one would go here. Paste. This one would go here, I think? Nope. Theory, I'd like this one to be over here. This one to be... I feel like I'm just going to confuse myself, but you can kind of see that what I'm trying to go for is that they'll move in a line. That motion will kind of sweep through them. Let's see. I do want them to come back down. It's a little bit too busy. Oh well. Let's see. Aw, thanks, Tamron. I'm like, I can figure this out on the fly, and it's like, it's a little weird to figure out on the fly, I guess. For me. Me no brain good. Alright. This is what I would like it to be. Do I just not have enough time in my little timeline to pull off this many frames? That might be the issue. Aw, thanks. I feel like this should work, but let's see. What's our main... I'm gonna try and work this backwards at least. So I have my keyframe over here. That's where I want to go. I'm just gonna literally go back to that method of solving it out. Problem solving in real time. I'm gonna focus on one at a time just to make it easy. Okay. Does this work? Let's see. Oh yeah, ignore that it'll go white at the end there. I have an extra keyframe. Okay, that kind of works. Let's see now. This is our starting keyframe for this guy. I'm going to put it there to kind of simulate where it's going to go to get back to that starting position. Do somewhat the same thing. Put a keyframe here. Right. There's different versions of onion skin. This is the outline onion skin, and this is the just straight up seeing the ghost of the other frames. Which can be a little bit hard if you're looking at a bunch. Alright, let's see. That will work. I want this one to be over here. Paste. I'm going to remove the tween and delete these two. So I already have it over here. It's kind of a jerky motion. That's fine when you do it like this. I think it's just that first frame. I'm gonna double check what either side look like. Okay, so I kind of just want this one to be in the middle. Sometimes when all else fails, you just have to go through and never underestimate how tough it is to just have like a subtle motion. It can be harder than doing action stuff, because action stuff you can make really snappy. You don't need to worry about the in-betweens. I mean, you do have to worry about them. Maybe not just as hard. Things go faster. There's less emphasis put on slow stuff. There's a lot of animators who really like doing action stuff, or like animatic, like storyboard artists who really love doing action things, but a lot of the difficulty sometimes just comes in doing things that are very subtle. Okay, see, that one works now. Only I can get it to work over here. Okay. So let's see, this frame's actually gonna go over here. I think the easy way to do it that I wasn't really thinking of was just to set this back up like this. Does this work? Yeah, it's got a nice little almost bounce to it, which is what we love to see it. We're just gonna call that good enough. Remove that tween. Oh, it looks janky when it's all together though. I think it's because that second one I didn't quite set out as nice. Try the same kind of thing. Nope, I wanted to actually remove that. Move that. Motion tween, I don't want you anymore. I'm done with you. Yeah, this one is, I guess this one is still a little bit, it's got a little bit of a jank to it. Seems to really just beat this frame. Let's see how it looks just all together as the effect, if it's too much, or if we need to tone it down. It kind of has the effect. Forgot it's being played so slow. That one right next to his head moves a lot. If we have time, or we're already out of time, but I might try and continue working on this on my own stream. Last 2 seconds. Let's see if we can really, really quickly add a water shine. Does anyone have any questions, I guess, before I'm out of here for the day and the next person comes on? I know we had our difficulties, so we didn't get to quite everything I would have loved to get to today, but it was fun. Hopefully we can make more cozy stuff later in the convention. I'll be on today, so and the second frame looks slidey on those. I think the trick is to just go more random. Well, thank you guys for watching. I will probably be continuing to work on this on my own stream afterwards.